when everything is a climax, that makes for a very bad story. Probably a very bad adventure. Let me use an example. Let me use an example from the last Star Wars movie, shall we? The very last Star Wars movie that they put out. What's the name of it? Can somebody drop the name of it? I forget what the name of it is. Which was the last Star Wars movie that was an entire train wreck? Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. Train wreck. Okay. Hi there, this is a quick reminder that LairCon 2021 is fast approaching. It's a small, exclusive RPG and tabletop convention that emphasizes playing awesome games and hanging out with cool people. LairCon 2021 will take place in the Dallas, Texas area on October 8th, 9th, and 10th this year, and you can grab your passes at the link below. If you grab a premium pass, you'll get to play in a game run by a member of the DM Lair crew, and if you pick up the VIP pass, you'll not only get to play in a game run by me, but you and a guest will be invited out to dinner with me afterwards. Remember too, passes for LairCon are pre-order only. There are no walk-ups the day of the event. October 1st is the last day to buy passes, and since this is a small exclusive convention, the number of passes is limited as well. Learn more about LairCon and purchasing your passes at the link below. Any advice for DMs who haven't developed the patience for power and story pacing? A friend that DMs often likes to give out powerful magic items really early and cause epic story events every session. There's nothing inherently wrong with giving out powerful magic items early in the game. And there's nothing inherently wrong with having epic story events every session. There are pitfalls around both of them. There's lots of pitfalls around giving out magic items early, and I've talked about those at length before. Now, having epic story events every session, of course, the pitfall there is that if every moment is super awesome, amazing, and crazy, everything just becomes dull. You need to have the slow moments, you need to have the build up, and then the climax, and then the wrap up, the denouement, I think is the term that they'll sometimes use, and then in an introduction and a building and the rising action, the suspense, the climax. It's the typical pattern, that you'll find in stories. Not that we're necessarily doing storytelling, but a story is formed. You want to build your adventures around that type of idea. An adventure follows that path, the inciting action or the incident, the thing that happens, your plot hook, and the rising action over the course of the adventure. They learn more and more, and they get to the final boss or something. That's your climax. And then they wrap up the dungeon, they go back in, and they turn into their NPC quest giver, and they get their reward. That is your, rising action climax, and then the wrap up, the denouement or whatever that you have. I'm probably pronouncing it's a French word, I'm pronouncing it wrong, that you have at the end of the adventure. The conclusion, you might call it, or something. So you want to design your adventures that way. So there's a way to design an adventure, right, that follows that pattern in storytelling, and you do that for a reason. So yeah, so when everything is a climax, that makes for a very bad story. Probably a very bad adventure. Let me use an example. Let me use an example from the last Star Wars movie, shall we? The very last Star Wars movie that they put out. What's the name of it? Can somebody drop the name of it? I forget what the name of it is. It was the train wreck. The one that was a train wreck. Somebody knows. Somebody knows. Help me. Which was the last Star Wars movie that was an entire train wreck? Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. Train wreck. Okay. One of the big problems with Rise of Skywalker is that everything was a climatic moment. There was no pacing in that movie. From the very beginning, when the movie opened up until the very end, it was action, 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 excitement, 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 go, 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 more. The whole thing, it was like a roller coaster where you're going down the whole time, and you're like, the whole time. There was no slow climb and then and then woo 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 woo, and then and then woo 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 woo, The whole movie was basically climax and action pounding at your face. It was like the entire movie, they were trying to one up themselves. They had something impactful happen. Many of them weren't very believable, but they'd have something super impactful happen, and then 5 minutes later, they're trying to beat themselves. And then they're trying to get even better, and they're trying to get even better. And they're doing these grand reveals and Mary Sue moments and all these kind of things where there's a whole lot of criticism and stuff you could go with. But one of the biggest things is they were attempting to have a climax every 5 minutes, and they were one-upping themselves every single time. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like you got a legendary magic item at level 1, and then you just kept getting artifacts and stuff, and then you became a deity by level 3, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it never ends. So there was no pacing at all in that. And that is when you cause epic story events every single session, that's what it will feel like. There's no pacing. There's no time to breathe and to pause, to appreciate anything. You just can't catch your breath. One of the reasons side conversations happen in D&D, one of the reasons people break away from the flow of things and make jokes and cause side chatter is for pacing. They need pacing. Like, there are some really intense moments in the game, such as combat, that you need a break from. You need to take a breather. Sometimes, if the dungeon master is not good at pacing, the players will subconsciously enforce that pacing on the game themselves by making a joke, by making a wisecrack, by having a side conversation, because they feel and they know that they need a break from all of this tension, and so they create it themselves because the dungeon master isn't doing it for them.